brand management. Okay, so branding in its simple terms. So it is a process of creating a distinct identity for a product, service, or a company. Okay. So let's say you are a brand, you have or you own a brand. Okay. How are you going to make your product or service or your firm stand out in the market when compared to your competitors? Okay. That is your brand. That is called as branding. So how are you going to, make yourself different from your competitors? What is that one X factor or that one special product that you're going to provide to your customers, to your end users, that will make your company set apart from the market, right? So that is branding in simple terms. Okay. So if we take an example, so one example would be Coca-Cola, as it is mentioned there. So if you've seen Coca-Cola ads, right? So as and when Diwali starts coming in, it has a very clear messaging which revolves around happiness, right? So when Coca-Cola, when it's December month, so it revolves when the Christmas is heading, so it is revolving around happiness, friendship, relations, and all of that, correct? Whenever we start heading towards the festive season, so the brand's advertisers are so clearly evident that the brand wants to kind of associate itself with the term relation, friends, and happiness. Okay. The one more example could be Apple's brand identity. So Apple's brand identity emphasizes on innovation, simplicity, and premium quality, right? So that's why you have been seeing such big queue in front of the Apple stores, which is quite viral in the media nowadays, right? So that is because of the branding that Apple has done. Okay. So why is it important for us? So branding, as a term, it's very important. The reason being, it creates a very strong and positive perception of a brand. Okay. So whenever, so let's say you have, take example of two companies. So let's take an example of Coca-Cola, and let's take an example of any local brand that produces soft drink products. Okay. So which product do you think are you going to buy 9 of 10 times? So out of 10 times, 9 times you are going to buy Coca-Cola itself because of the branding that they have. Even though the quality might be superior of the local brand, but that doesn't matter to you because your branding has played such important role, right? That you believe that Coca-Cola itself is a superior brand and a normal local brand cannot compete with it. Correct. So that is what a perspective, that is how branding helps in creating a strong perspective into the minds of your end users or your end customers. Okay. It builds loyalty and trust. So as I took an example of Apple itself, right? So Apple has such loyal fans, so whenever you buy an Apple product, so you'll need to buy all the sub products of Apple, right? So let's start with, even if you're buying a phone, you'll have to buy a charger, headset, earphone, maybe an iPad. So the entire ecosystem revolves around that product, right? Of your tech ecosystem revolves around that. If you're buying one single product, you will have to buy more products of that same brand itself, and that brings loyalty for them. And people trust Apple for the reason that they provide the technology and innovation that they do. These all things play a very pivotal role. Okay. So here I've used one more example of Starbucks. So Starbucks charges premium prices because of the strong customer loyalty built around the brand experience. Starbucks doesn't provide a product. Starbucks provides an experience. Okay. So a person who is going to Starbucks doesn't just go to buy a doesn't go just to go and have a glass of coffee or cappuccino there, right? A person goes to Starbucks for the experience that they get there, right? That's very unique and very premium in nature, and that is why people go to Starbucks. Okay. So Starbucks charges premium prices because of a strong customer, and when you have a strong customer base, a loyal customer base, even though your products are highly priced, the people are still going to buy it. Okay. That is a specialty here. So here, uh we've understood what's branding, and then let's understand what are the key elements or key factors of branding. Okay. First one is brand name. Brand name has to be very unique and memorable in nature. Memorable here in the sense the recall value of the customer needs to be high. Okay. So recall value is what? Let me take an example of BlackBerry. Okay. So how many of you remember BlackBerry? Tell me. So anybody who's born prior to 2000 will definitely know about BlackBerry, right? So is there anybody who remembers what BlackBerry is? Raise your hands if you know. Yes, I see quite a few hands there of BlackBerry, right? Because BlackBerry provided that customer experience to them, right? The phones of BlackBerry back then used to be so stylish and so trendy back then. It used to be in dark color. Most of the products were in dark color, and it used to be an experience in itself. The person who owned a BlackBerry would wanted to own a BlackBerry again and again, right? Eventually they went out of the market. That's a different case study, but the recall value of BlackBerry is still very strong. Okay, that is why a branding plays your very important role here, right? So let me take one more example. I'll take an example of Tata Nano. Okay, so how many of you remember Tata Nano? Tell me, raise your hands if you remember Tata Nano. Yes, I see quite a few hands. Why do you remember Tata Nano? Tell me. Because Tata Nano had branded itself as world's most affordable car, right? In the segment, it had a very minimal pricing, because of which people remember the brand even till now. The branding was done in such a way that people remember it as the most pocket friendly car, right? So that's what branding does. For example, here I've also mentioned the example of Nike. So everybody, so let's what's the tagline of Nike? Can anybody tell me? I'm sure everybody has it on the tip of the tongue. What's Nike's tagline? Just do it, right? So that's the tagline of Nike. Everybody, it's so popular out there among the youths, among the middle-aged. Everybody remembers it, right? Just do it. Correct, Biswayan. You're damn right. Okay. So next is logo and visual identity. For a brand, logo is very important. Okay. So let me take an example of, let's say, a Mercedes ka logo or a BMW ka logo and or Audi ka logo. We know it, right? When I tell Mercedes logo is in front of your eyes. You're already imagining that how does a Mercedes logo look like. When I tell Audi, you know the four rings. It's pretty attractive and branded in such a way that everybody knows that as soon as you see the brand, as soon as you see the logo, you know it belongs to Nike, it belongs to Audi. Correct. That is an importance of logo. Okay, so here I've taken off an example of McDonald's golden arcs. So whenever we are going through any highway, so from far a distance, from 1.5 kilometers, if there is a McDonald's store, they have a huge brand logo, right, placed on top of their stores, the big M, golden M, which they have, right? So that is what, when the moment when you see it, okay, there is a McDonald's store there ahead, coming ahead of me, right? So that is what a logo, an attractive logo does. Okay, it plays a very important role. Okay, and the next is tagline and messaging. So as I told Nike, you knew what was a tagline. Got a few of them answering to my taglines question also. Like you told, just do it. Okay, tagline is very important because it kind of resembles the product, what your product is, what message does it want to convey, right? That is covered majorly in the tagline. Okay, so here I've taken example of BMW. The tagline very clearly says the ultimate driving machine, right? The ultimate driving machine, what image do you get in your mind when I say the ultimate driving machine? Okay, the car is beautifully designed and decorated, and it's beautifully made to enhance the user experience. Correct. So this is how the taglines have been designed. I'll tell you one more tagline, and you should guess which product is that. Okay, so made like a gun, goes like a bullet. Which tagline is it? If you can tell me. Anybody? If you remember, made like a gun and goes like a bullet. What is it? Perfect. I see quite a few answers now. Perfect. That's correct. Royal Enfield, right? So, what does the message say? The bike is damn fast, right? And it's made like a gun. Made like a gun is it's very strong in nature. The build quality is very superior and strong. Correct. That's what it makes. I mean, it conveys. Correct. And then brand personality, defined set of traits. So, brand personality is what is the feature of your product or your service that you are going to offer into the market. Okay, I've taken example of Red Bull's advent. So whenever you see Red Bull ad, what do you see? You see a man suddenly, as soon as he consumes Red Bull, he has wings and he starts flying, right? So it's not practical in nature, but it kind of conveys a message about the brand, right? About once you drink Red Bull, once you consume Red Bull, it's the guy or a girl gets very adventurous, it gets a lot of energy, the mindset changes, the personality changes. So these are like quite a few marketing, I mean, advertising examples which we can use that tells the personality of the brand. Okay, that is why brand plays a very important role. Okay, and then next, so what is brand management? So we understood what is branding, what are the elements of branding. Let's try to understand what is brand management. Okay, so I mean, leave the theoretical part of it. Can any of you tell me what brand management is in your own words? Leave the theoretical part, that I'll explain it to you, but just tell me, what does brand management mean according to you? Anybody can answer. You have your chat box open. I've got one answer: growing the brand over time. That is correct. I agree to it. Yes, correct. I'm getting quite a few answers. That's most of the answers are right there. They're correct. I believe that. Okay, so a few of the answers that if you want me to read out, as first is growing the brand over time. That's correct. Maintaining identity among target customers. That's also very correct. So the process of creating and maintaining a brand. That's also correct. Okay, you all are correct in your own terms. Okay, so very good, very good. So let me elaborate you in a better manner, in a detailed manner. Okay, what brand management is. Okay, so whenever you come up with a brand, you can tell me whenever you come with a product or a service as a business. Okay, so what are you there for? Okay, so your main motto of the business should be solving a problem. Okay, or catering to the demand of a customer. Correct. So how do you do that? Your product might be damn good, your service might be damn good, point on. Okay, so what how will that attract you to the customers? Do you think only great quality of product is enough to attract a customer? I don't think so. That's not enough, right? For that, you would need a proper marketing channel through which you can attract your customer, your target customer. Okay, and how are you going to do that? By creating a brand. Okay, so your brand involves, let's say, a catchy name of the product, let's say a catchy tagline of a product, let's say you are promoting a product on social media, on let's say newspaper. You can also promote on radios nowadays. So that radio is also very attractive mean, because most of them are stuck in traffic and in places like Bangalore. So people do listen to radio nowadays quite a lot. So even radios can be used as a form of promotion nowadays. Not cannot consider it as an outdated form of promotion. Okay. So what all means you take to reach your customers, and once your customer buys your product, your quality is obviously good, right? So once your product is consumed by the customer, so how are you going to get him back? So the entire process of interacting with the customer, making him buy back the product or service, so this entire process is called as brand management. Everything of this involves into brand management. Okay. So, in proper terms, brand management involves nurturing and evolving the brand over time. Okay. So, right from engaging your audience for the first time, till from there, till getting him back to your business place again and again, the entire process is called brand management. How are you going to manage this, the entire circle? So, that is called as brand management. Okay. So let's take an example of a beautiful example of Disney. So what Disney has done is that most of us know that Disney was into, producing animated movies, cartoons, right? So Disney initially did that, but post which Disney built an entire ecosystem of business, right? So it can be of animated theme parks, cruises, streaming services, all of this. Hotstar is a fine example of streaming services. Okay. So all of this revolves around Disney, right? So the entire brand has been managed by Disney. Okay. So components of branding. First one is brand positioning. Okay. How do you position your brand in the market? Okay. So let's say you want to buy a sports shoe. Which is the prominent sports shoe? Which is which is a shoe that has a high possibility of you going and making a purchase there? Which brand shoe it will be? Most of the times it will either be Nike, Puma, or Adidas, right? Because these are the three brands which have branded themselves in such well manner that whenever a person is thinking about buying any sports related material, equipments or gears, he thinks of these brands at a very initial phase, the very first phase itself. Okay. So let me buy Nike, let me buy Puma, let me buy Adidas or Reebok also to an extent. But Reebok is currently not that relevant and it's going down. The trend is showing downwards. But Nike, Puma, and Adidas are the three shoes which shoes or any gears equipment for that matter to be buying by the customer. Okay. Am I correct, guys? Or do you have any other brand that you would approach if you want to buy a sports shoe that I'm missing? You can drop in your favorite brands of sports gears equipments in the chat box. Okay, I think I've covered quite a few. Next is brand awareness. Okay, how well the brand is recognized. Let me take you an example. So here we've used an example of Google. Okay, Google is a search engine, right? But what do we use? What is the term that we use for search nowadays? Internet searching. It's called as Googling, right? So if I want to, let's say, if I want to ask uh, Junaid, okay. So Junaid is a guy here. He's a friend who's joined a session today. If I have to ask Junaid, okay, Junaid, just check if I want to ask Junaid to search about branding and management, okay. So I'll ask Junaid. Junaid can just Google a couple of case studies on brand management, give it to me. Okay, Googling is not a right term. It doesn't have a proper meaning in a dictionary, right? But since the brand has been making such, the brand's impact is such huge that whenever you want to search anything on the internet, you just go on Google and search it. And when you're talking, also tell that, okay, I've Googled this, I've got it from the Google. Okay. So that's how well it has been positioned. Okay. Let me take you one more example. Okay. So how many of you use the word Xerox? I guess all of us, right? So, but what is Xerox? Xerox is a company. Xerox is not a word, a proper word. It's a company, okay? It's a company which you would make a machines which used to have a copies of your sheets, okay? So whenever you want to take a printout, you don't say get a printout or get a copy of the sheet. Just tell Xerox it. Go to Xerox shop, get it done. Xerox these two sheets for me. So this is a term which we use in our day-to-day life, right? Exactly. So Biswayan is right. Photocopy is the word, but we say Xerox, but Xerox is not the right word. Xerox is a company, but the brand has made itself so evident that people refuse to use the term copy or yes, Maggie, correct. Very, very correct, Mahfuz. Very correct. So Maggie is what? Maggie is a noodles, right? So, but people don't use the term noodle nowadays. People use the term Maggie, correct. But Maggie actually is a brand under Nestle umbrella of products. Maggie is a brand, but it became so popular over time that people have stopped using the term noodles, but they just use Maggie. Even when they are buying product noodles of other brands, they just say Maggie. Give me Maggie, right? So that's how important the positioning of brand here is. That's what brand awareness is all about. Okay. The next is brand loyalty. Let's use the very hot burning example of iPhones. All of us have seen a huge number of queues, a huge number of people going out there in the iPhone outlets to kind of book their new models which is coming in, the new products which they're buying in. We see a huge queue right in every iPhone outlets here in India. So what is it? That shows the brand loyalty, right? And in few of the cases, I've also seen people, going to the stores at morning 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, standing there, and then waiting for the shop to open, and then actually go and make a purchase. Correct. So brand loyalty is an emotional connect which people have with the brand. So I've used an example of iPhone. You can also use an example of Royal Enfield. People who purchase Royal Enfield owe it, use it for years and years, right? I've seen guys using Royal Enfield from last 20-25 years. I've seen some guys using Royal Enfield of the grandfathers. The grandfathers used to have the Royal Enfield, the fathers used it, and again these guys are using it. So it's the generations which are using the product, right? That shows what? That shows brand loyalty. That the people are very loyal to the brands. Okay. Next is brand equity, value added by the brand's perception. Perception. So here we can use example of Coca-Cola. So brand value is such huge that the market cap of Coca-Cola is bigger than the actual assets which is owned by Coca-Cola. Okay, so the value which the brand creates among the public or in the market, so that is so huge that the company's actual assets is not that many, right? The market cap is that higher, that huge. Okay. So next is, so a few of strategies that as a marketers we can use can be for it is for brand positioning strategies. So first one is differentiation. So how can you do this? So by having, let's say, a very unique campaign, social media campaign. How many of you remember the Vodafone Zuzu ads that you used to get during IPLs in the year 2007 to 2010? How many of you remember that? Zuzu ads, we all remember, right? The animated character which used to come in the ads back then in 2007, 8, 9, 10 ish types. How many of you remember? I see quite a few hands here. So yeah. So yes, Docomo. The Docomo was popular for the jingle that they had, right? The Docomo's jingle was Docomo, Docomo. So that was very attractive jingle, right? Which people used to love. There was one more jingle of this Airtel. IR Rahman had built that jingle, right, for Airtel. So I am not very good at songs, so I'm not going to sing this one again. But yeah, Airtel also have a very attractive jingle. Correct. So jingle is again a small, you can say a small tune or a small song which usually a brand or company prepares for people to remember their brand's name. Okay. So these are the few examples which can differentiate your brand from the that of your competitors. Okay. So example here can be Tesla, focuses on luxury and electric vehicles. Okay. So Tesla is not, we can see very rarely we see the Tesla cars here in India. But yeah, if you go to abroad, they see Tesla. Tesla has a very luxurious, trendy products that they have specifically for electric. Okay. The next is emotional appeal, connecting with the customers emotionally. Okay, so there are few brands like let's say an example of Kajaria tiles, right? So Kajaria tiles use the tagline of "मिट्टी से बना हुआ," right? So they use the product "मिट्टी से जुड़ा," so something like this. If I'm not able to recall, I'm unable to recall it exactly, but something "मिट्टी से जुड़ा हुआ" types, correct? So what does it say? So it attracts the people. Tata Salt, Desh Ka Namak, very correct, very correct. If you can give me some more examples, I'd be very happy for that. Okay. So these are the brands which associate with the emotions of the customers. Okay, okay. Tata Namako, Desh Ka Namako is like our brand, our company, India's company, right? So people buy it. Similarly, Kajaria, so Desh Ka, so they use it as a, I mean, from made from our soil, India soil. So that connects with the people, right? So if you can give me a couple of more examples, I'd be really happy to give out give it out to everybody. Like it'll be a knowledge sharing session for all of us. Okay. So the next is value proposition, key benefits offered. So what is the value that yes, correct. So Kajaria Desh ki mitti se, correct, very true. That's what I told. Value proposition. So key benefits all offered. So what is the benefit that you're actually, how much value are you adding into the life of customer through your product or your service? That becomes very important, right? So what is the value that you're creating through your product? That becomes very important. For example, IKEA stores. IKEA store, when it was opened in Bangalore, you could see such huge number of people going in and buying products from there because it was affordable and stylish furnitures. IKEA basically deals with furnitures. Okay, so it is affordable in first, affordable firstly, and the next is that it is very stylish. Okay, uh, that is why IKEA, people kind of prefer IKEA when it comes to furnitures, especially the audience which comes under the middle income group. So they prefer IKEA because the products are quite great of a quality compared to the price that they make. Okay, so before the, I mean, let us understand one case study. After that, we can move ahead. Okay, so if I say Nike, what do you all remember? Tell me. If I say Nike, what do you all remember? What is the image that comes into your mind if I say Nike? Sports shoe, right? See the sneakers. Perfect. See, what is all of this? It is a perspective. It is the brand which has been created in your mind, right? I'm saying Nike, you're saying sneakers, sports shoes, sports equipment, the gears. All of this comes into your mind as soon as I tell the brand's name Nike, right? And that too, sports shoe of premium quality, sneakers of superior quality. The quality also they don't compromise with, right? So that is why branding is so important, and that is why Nike's branding is such a big success. Okay, so let's understand this a little in depth. Okay. Uh, Nike's success is built on the strong brand identity and emotional appeal. Okay. So Nike mainly caters to the youths. Okay, for the age group of let's say 14 till 35. So that's their ideal age group which they target. Okay. How do they do it? Via means of sports equipment, sports gears. Okay, so, like somebody told me about the sports shoe, somebody told me about sneakers, which are very trendy and very stylish in nature, right? So, they have built their identity in such a manner. It may be through their advertising campaigns, it may be through their brand endorsements, it may be through their products, the design of the product, the quality of the product. They've built a very strong identity. Okay, the first and foremost important aspect of their branding is their tagline. Okay, so which says just do it. Okay, which is kind of very motivating, right? Just do it. So it kind of fills you with energy, it kind of motivates you, inspires you to go and just get it done, right? So encourages self empowerment and overcoming challenges. Okay, this is the message which they provide, which they give out. Okay. The next is strong visual identity. The logo is very unique, right? Nike's logo is very easy to make and it's very attractive too, right? I personally love the logo of Nike, which just is a tick mark, but it's very attractive, right? So the swoosh logo is globally recognized. So wherever you go, whichever corner of the world you go, you wear a Nike shoes, you are recognized. Okay, the shoes you're wearing is Nike shoes. People are going to recognize it, right? That's the brand and that's the visual identity which people have of the logo. Okay. The next is celebrity endorsement. Nike always picks top celebrities for the endorsements. Okay. So can you tell me who is the Nike brand ambassador for India right now? Anybody? Globally, it's Michael Jordan and Serena Williams. But in India, if anybody, okay. And Nike always approaches athletes for their endorsements. Okay. They're not any other industry related. They are majorly sports industry related athletes who do it. Spriti Mandana. Very correct. Very correct. Correct. It's Spriti Mandana. Well done, guys. Well done. Okay. So the next is challenges in brand management. Okay. So there are multiple challenges too, which often arises while you're managing your brand. Okay. The first one is maintaining consistency. So let's say you are starting a campaign, right? So why did Vodafone go out of business, right? Because the branding was not consistent. The prices of course are a very big thing. When Geo came, it kind of swept the market. That is one more case study. But when I take an example of Vodafone, so the marketing campaigns were not consistent. It was great at a time, but again it saw a dip. It peaked, it dipped, it peaked, it dipped, right? So there was not very consistent, because of which people kind of lost a sense of trust in the brand. Okay. And similar thing happened with uh BlackBerry too, right? So though the tech plays a very important role when it comes to the smartphone industry, but yeah, branding also plays a very important role there, right? So the branding used to be very fantastic, the kind of product, the logo they use, the campaigns, but with time it started dipping. Consistency is very important. Though your product might not be that great, but if your branding is consistent, it will play the trick for you. As a businessman, it is going to play a trick for you with at one point or the other. Okay. So maintaining across multiple channels. Example, McDonald's ensures uniformity in brand globally. Okay. So McDonald's has the same branding messaging type across the globe. In whichever you country go, you'll find a similar building, similar logo, similar coloring of the store, the design of the store, everything will be similar. uh, Whenever you go to McDonald's in any part of the world, right? The messaging is very clear. Okay. The next is responding to crisis. So whenever, let's say, let me take an example of, you can tell Hero and Honda. Okay. So Hero Honda used to be one brand before. Okay. So, but due to some agreement or any legalities, they had to separate. Hero Honda became two separate entities, right? But how well did they manage this? That is a very important part, right? So let's say at one point, so let's say 15 years down the lane, Hero Honda used to be a one brand, and they used to roll out products under that banner of Hero Honda, right? Then after a point, they separated. Hero became one brand and Honda became one brand. Okay. So that is a crisis again. So company has, so far they have promoted themselves as Hero Honda as a one company, but now suddenly they're two different companies, Hero and Honda. Now how do you sustain the market? How do you clear the messaging in the market? Right. So Hero Honda, both the companies did a commendable job there. They for the let's say temporary purpose, they might have lost some market share, but currently they are again the market leaders, right? They've done a fantastic job in maintaining the branding there, maintaining the crisis there under the brands. Okay. BP after the Gulf oil spill. So BP is Bharat Petroleum and then Gulf oil spill. So once Gulf oil moved out, so how well did Bharat Petroleum manage their brand among the in the entire country, right? So adapting to market trends. So market trends keep on changing. So the product which used to be, let us take an example of Nokia. So the trend, Nokia used to be very popular phones back then, right? But with time, they couldn't cope with the technology. With time, they didn't cope with the stylish designs which other companies, Samsung specifically, came up with. They couldn't cope with it and eventually went out of the market, right? Similar with Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola used to be let's say a brand which whose ideas was to spread happiness and used to have it while having a meal, right? That was their whole branding before. But since the trend shows that people are moving more towards health, a healthy lifestyle, Coca-Cola has come up with a diet Coke and Coke Zero. Okay, so which shows that they are, going with the trend. So the people who are very much into fitness, who want to, have a healthy diet, they would choose, they would have an option of going for diet Coke and Coke Zero, which has very considerably lesser amount of sugar, that is comparatively healthier to the other products of Coca-Cola, right? So this is nothing but adapting to your market trends. Okay, so this is your few of the challenges when it comes to managing your brand. Okay, so any doubts here? Even if you have any, you can always drop in the chat box. Okay, so let's move to the final slide of the presentation. Okay, so conclusion. So here the conclusion is branding and brand management are critical to maintain positive market presence. Okay, as a marketer, you need to always have that thing in the mind. Without brand management, your product, your business won't sustain for long. As a business, you need to have a brand, you need to have a brand identity, and you need to have a uniformity in your brand, okay, which will bring some sort of consistency in the mind of the public, of the people, of your end users, which will eventually make them buy your product again and again. Okay, and then example, strong branding like Apple's can create long lasting customer loyalty. And then I don't know from when, so from decades people are purchasing Apple products, and they are going on purchasing products. Okay, the Apple is one of the largest company globally, with I don't see any dip saying in the brand management anytime soon. Okay, they are managing the products in such a beautiful manner that even though the product, I believe, is overpriced at times, but the people, their customers don't feel it, don't find it so. Okay, they go on purchase, they make purchases, and it's just working for them, right? It's just working well. So the brand has been managed in such a way that no matter how high the product is priced, people still go and buy it, right? So that's it, guys. Wrapping up the session for the day. Just before we wrap up the session, I would want you to uh, hit me up with questions if you have any queries.